the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Shalom, shalom. Come on in. Come on in.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Hit that like button. Bless you, bless you, bless you.
721 BC. The Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still.
Hit the like button. Come on, brothers and sisters. Help us out.
To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes
of Israel. We're back.
Who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, the highest gathering Israel.
The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint.
Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. A higher gather us in Colombia, Reuben from Australia.
Like button. Come on. Hit him. Hit him.
The Mexicans.
We have a great broadcast for you this evening.
The Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians. The highest gathering in Israel.
The Most High's gathering Israel, brothers and sisters. It's time for us to get it together. That's right. It's time for us to get it together here. Time is running out.
Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians,
Barbados too.
the Haitians. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North
That's right.
American
That's right.
Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel.
That's right, brothers and sisters. The Most High is gathering Israel. I'm Elder Ricard of the Gathered of Christ Church here with our weekly, well, now they have named it podcast, but we've been doing these things for years before there was any such thing as podcast, live at Peace FM and others, uploading real-time discussions warning our people according to the Bible that not only are we the children of Israel, but there's another fact that we were born in a war. A war unbeknownst to us, without any understanding that there were nations years ago from ancient times in the area of Idumea between Israel and Mount Seir, who was planning our demise once our people would fall from grace. Okay? And yeah, we were born in a war. But this war that Satan is actually waging is on all fronts. It's not just against the children of Israel. It's against humanity altogether. And the greatest threat to Satan's world is family. Is family. Because family in of itself represents the Godhead, the heavenly order. Male, female, and from male, female comes life. So that leads us to our broadcast today. Segueing from now to our Sabbath all the way into the academy. And what is this lesson today, or this broadcast? We want to talk about it. That there's hope for the daughters of Zion. So I'm going to tell you right now, we're under attack. Family is under attack. Man, woman, and children, especially those who believe in God, are under attack. Okay? And this is a spiritual war. But we're not going to get through this war hating one another, divisiveness, coming against one another. Because why? All of these devices that they have created to divide us were all social tools of the devil. But now we're at the very end. It's not about pointing the finger and blaming who's at fault. It's about coming to some level of resolve under the Most High to protect ourselves before they come kicking in the door. Okay? So I want to talk about this today. I want to talk about this. All right? I want to talk about this. And I want our sisters to know out there, our sisters, right? Our sisters out there in particular, because we're going to have a good conversation. Okay? There's hope. There's hope for our sisters. There's hope for our sisters. And what we're under right now, I mean, it took us a while for brothers, ourselves, you know, it didn't take a black man too long to understand that in of itself, we were born into a war. Just being born into the skin we're in. It didn't take us too long to understand what that means to be a black man born in this world. So automatically being a man, we go into what you would call either survival mode or, you know, some people may call it survival mode, but others will call it self-preservation. Knowing the environment we were brought up in, and we were able to navigate and succeed understanding the daily threat, just being a black man. See, but our sisters are dealing with something different altogether, and I'm going to talk about that today. They never felt that they were under the same threat we were. And therefore, that in of itself have created an environment in which they're actually more exposed to some degree and more vulnerable, you know, concerning what's to come. And listen to what I'm saying. If the Bible tells us the woman is a weaker vessel, and then society concocts all these social things, feminism and others, to divide a woman from her protection, well, who will be there when it's time for her to actually be protected? So what happened was, in of itself, it was a trick. They tricked both of us. But the woman more so because she felt she had security under government at the least. Even if there's no man involved or there's no man there, government would always be there to protect her. Well, what if that was the trick? What if the whole plan was to separate her from her man, thinking that the government will be there, only for the government to turn on her. What if that was the trick? The divide and conquer. We're going to talk about that and more in this broadcast and say, listen, if it is the trick, whatever the devil is doing, it's nothing for us to understand what to do now and get back under some level of a hedge or protection. And there's hope. This world is trying to make our sisters believe there's no hope at all. Okay? There's no hope at all. They had an opportunity and they blew it. Men are going other places. Men are choosing other people. Men have thrown up their hands and say, listen, we're done with it. And some women are giving up or have given up. Okay? First, it was swung towards men, where men would give it up and say, the whole world is stacked against me. It's do or die. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it. You understand? And guess what? We understand how that feels. Why? Because sisters, you have to understand. We've gone through it, and we were always in it with you. We were always, and I think the Most High is having us come to this I would say euphoric moment to have us understand that, to pull our pride away and say, listen, finally, we went through all this hell together. And at the end of this, regardless of the fights we've had, the infights and all these other things, at the end of the day, the Most High have placed us in a position within society to admit that we need one another. That we need one another. Okay? Not, and that's what it comes down to. Society would try to create this pride thing to have an individual have a sense of pride in stating that they don't need anyone else. That a man, I don't need a woman, or a woman, I don't need a man. That's only the devil that would have us think that. And I would be the first to admit in this Bible and all this, and understanding this Bible, that we were all played. The man was played and the woman was played. I would be the first to admit that. See, the Bible states, pride cometh before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. It's our pride that would have us suffering, needing help, to have us speak to others, just so that we can look as if all things are good with our peers. Have us stating that everything is okay. I don't need this person, and I don't need that person. And then at the end of the day, we go to ourselves and we understand that what? We're struggling. That we're lying to ourselves only to appear successful amongst others. Only to appear as if we got it going on. Knowing that when we to ourselves, we're struggling. We're hurting. We're lonely. And we can't lie to ourselves, because why? When all the people are gone and there's no phones and there's no internet, guess what? It's those four walls and God in the room. Those four walls and God in the room talking to us and saying, listen, it's time to humble yourself. It's time for you to admit the obvious. It's time to stop fronting. It's time to stop fronting. We were made to need one another. We're social creatures. We were made to need one another. And the devil played a horrible trick on men and women. I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to talk about this. And for the first time in the academy, praise the Most High, let me tell you, there's nothing, I've never thought that the academy would be or become what it has become. It's been a godsend. Okay, literally. And it has morphed into this place of Bible understanding that's easy to understand, but also to have conversations and bring forth news and actually interact in a way that slaves didn't think would be possible without some type of overseer or government oversight to try to control the narrative. And this academy, all of the academies, but the academy in of itself has been a blessing. For the first time this coming Sunday, there will be a roundtable discussion. At the church, we're going to have the chairs around. We're going to have the cameras all there. It's studio set, and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about this. And really the topic this Sunday, the ungodly divide between man and woman. The ungodly divide between man and woman. Because there's a divide, everything else in between is getting exalted or attention. Because the divide, it left space for those who would want to switch. As our chasm grows, all the in-betweens are gaining power to destroy family. And we're going to talk about that this Sunday. Roundtable discussion. We're going to pick one family, a husband, wife who've been together for years. We're going to also have an elder, woman of a church. We're also going to have young brothers also young sisters who are single. To be real, we're going to have real-time conversations of what's the landscape, what's the environment right now when it comes to seeking marriage. Okay? What is the pitfalls and what is really the social climate when it comes to meeting someone out there who have the same view and have the same drive towards God that we do. And what is the overall objective for people getting together today, opposed to how it was back in the day? Okay? We're going to have the conversation for about 30 minutes. It's going to be Zoom, roundtable discussion, and we're going to talk about it not to blame one another, but to actually have a discussion for healing. So that we can heal amongst each other so that the Most High can actually heal us. So we can heal amongst each other. And this is why I titled this today, There's Hope for the Daughters of Zion. Why? Before I go into this, so that no one can believe or think that this is about blaming women or anything like that, because it won't be. There's a lot of hidden wounds and pain within our communities that our sisters have tucked away. Okay? That where the environment doesn't make it comfortable enough for them to actually state or talk about what they've really gone through, what they're going through, all of that. Okay? There's a lot of hidden ills. For example, it all leads back to the curses under the Bible. Certain ills and negative that was pushed towards our sisters that no other woman on earth, no matter what race, can relate to. Not to say that others don't go through some of these things, but I'm telling you the truth. This is where it is. There's sisters who grew up, listen to me clearly, with the full confidence and hope that they would have protection, starting from what? A family unit, father and mother. Only to have that whole idea of what family is torn apart. For a stranger to come into the home And then what happens? We don't talk about this in our communities. How many of our sisters are violated by grown people, by relatives who come in and it's kept quiet? It's kept quiet. Or she's ashamed to talk about it. And by the time she grow into her age, she have compartmentalized that her being violated at a time when she should have been protected by her own family. See? So already from a child, she grows with trust issues. If you can't trust the people who brought you into the earth, how can you trust strangers? Even the man who you would deem to be a husband. None of these things are discussed. And that's why Christ says confess. That's why it tells us in the epistles, confess your faults one to another. It's also talk about the things that have been done to you so that you can actually grow from that point. Only thing we see is women with their guard up, bitter, lashing out, not realizing it's that little girl who wasn't protected. And then it comes with a label, the angry black woman. And that's one of many examples. One of many examples. So we're going to talk about it, not just so that we can put it all on the table, if not for anything but to heal, not just as the children of God, but as a family. Because this mindset of believing just because someone doesn't live in my home isn't part of my family, that whole idea have to die. The brothers that are suffering out there, they're our brothers. The sisters that are suffering alone, they're our sisters. Regardless of how we feel or cannot stand how some of us are acting out, we're family. We're family. So we're going to talk about this coming Sunday. We're going to go into it. How we're looking at the numbers of teenage pregnancy and people having babies without husband and marriage and all these other things, but not realizing that a lot of these decisions are being made strictly off of abuse, not being taught right. And then women are just having babies so they can have someone that they can actually love unconditionally. Someone that they know is going to love them unconditionally and will not hurt them like our society or our community have hurt them. So we're going to talk about this. This thing is going to, it's not going to be about blame. It's going to be about having a conversation that leads to some level of resolve before the army is at the door. Before the army is at the door, because they're coming. They're coming. It's right here. Listen, we into this news. Another thing I like about the Academy, Shapat and others, and we be talking, listen, this keeps us on our toes in the scriptures, looking at prophecy concerning what's to come. So while they have the news about a football player coming out of the hospital and all these things, and I'm glad the brother's well, they're using these news circulations to divert us from what's really going on. The preparation for war. Why was Ukraine really funded? I don't know, hypothetically, but I don't know. But I know this. I thought they was being funded to go against Russia. But in the news, we have Ukrainian troops headed to the United States for Patriot missile training. So where they have us looking at one little instance, we're starting to put the puzzle together from the Pentagon, a pentagram, Satan's star. So it's time for us to get it together, folks. Ukrainian troops headed to the U.S. for Patriot missile training. Weeks after announcing the United States would send one Patriot air defense battery and associated munitions to Ukraine, a Pentagon official said Ukrainian soldiers will come to the U.S. to train on Patriot system so they'll be ready to use it when it's delivered. A foreign army so-called training within the United States, if you want to believe that. And this is from the U.S. Department of Defense. So it's time for us to get it together, folks. And it's time for brothers to tell sisters and let them know outright that there's hope for our sisters. Because I'm starting to see what their plan was with feminism, to have the whole idea, to have man hate the whole idea of woman, only to swing the pendulum the other way, to where now everyone will now get behind the man, including government and media, to attack women. And the difference is women are not going to be able to weather that type of storm like a man. Because the Bible says the woman is the weaker vessel. And it's really to destroy both of us. And when the world comes against us, whether it be the invisible or the visible, if we stand together, folks, the man and woman together as God intended, we'll win. We'll win. Let me bring in Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Shalom. Shalom.
How you doing, Elder Lawyer?
I'm doing well. Can't complain at all. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, Elder Lawyer. Of course, I didn't tell you what this particular broadcast will be about tonight. I wanted you to spontaneously hear what we've put together. But I'm starting to see what this is, and it leads to our broadcast. We really have to talk about this.
Absolutely.
And show that there's hope for our sisters, right? Because I believe, and I'm looking at this, a lot of our sisters, they're not saying anything. But a lot of our people, our women, are giving up hope. Hope of ever having a family, hope of ever having a good man to the end, to to bring forth legacy. And it's showing, and I'm saying it's showing on the outside aesthetics on how less there's care for themselves. And I believe that they're speaking silently, but are too proud to say, you know what? We need you. We need you. Help us. We need direction. And I wanted to talk about that. And I'm going to go into how we got here. We're going to go into a lot of scriptures on this. But one scripture I wanted to talk about is a nation divided against itself cannot stand. All right. As I was speaking, did anything jump out to you that you would probably want to state while it's still fresh, or it's up to you?
Well, I'll wait until afterwards, until you present everything that you desire to present, and then I'll come in afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Let's go, Elder Lawyer, to Matthew 17 and 25.
Yes, sir.
And I need y'all to understand, brothers and sisters, that's why Christ was adamant about his about God's service to widows and orphans. It's as if he prophetically, or of course he knew, but he was giving us an insight to what our community would be at the very end. The widows, these are women without men, and orphans, children without fathers. He had a constant focus on that, knowing that this was the environment or the world Satan was seeking to create. A world easily rolled over because there is no family to protect themselves from what's coming. Satan would create an environment in which he would redefine family. He would empower women and make them think that it's okay to live in this world unprotected so that they can have access to the children, orphans. The orphans aren't taught legacy and how to stand for their family values. They're more so taught on what? On how to uphold the state. The state becomes their family. So Christ was highlighting the widows and orphans, knowing the environment Satan would socially engineer. And out of all people, what people would be affected the most? Those that are on the bottom, the children of Israel. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer. Let's read Matthew 12 and 25.
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 12, verse number 25. And it says, And Yeshua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself cannot stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand?
So Christ made it clear that every kingdom divided against itself would not stand. Well, folks, it's impossible to have a kingdom without a man and woman together under one accord.
Mm-hmm.
See, when we think about kingdom, we think about the whole thing. But it usually starts with a man and woman in agreement. And, I grew up playing chess. And one thing about chess, Elder Lawyer, is you never become the expert of all experts because life began to teach you certain aspects of that game that you will begin to apply while playing. In the front, Elder Lawyer, of a chessboard, you have what? Pawns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you notice the pawns doesn't distinctly have what? A distinction between male or female. They're just pawns. The knights are male. The bishops are male. The rooks is really the fort of the whole kingdom on either end. Then you have the king in the middle on the right side and the queen by his side. Now, when you look at the chessboard, Elder Lawyer, the pawns will work and fight and sacrifice themselves for the kingdom, be it male or female. But when one pawn makes it to the other side of the board, that pawn becomes what, Elder Lawyer?
Queen.
it becomes any piece you want it to be.
Mm.
But the king usually choose to have her be what? To have that pawn, because these are just people, or the pawns are really the peasants of the kingdom who are fighting for recognition. Right? So they're not recognized until they're able to advance well beyond these other places with less ammunition and fight their way to the end of the other board. But usually the king decides that, you know what? I'm going to make her a queen. I'm going to make this piece. This is a woman who fought for her kingdom and made it into glory, where the king chose her to be queen. I'm not talking about the queen that's next to him. I'm talking about the pieces that make it to the end of the board, who showed what? The allegiance to the kingdom. She was able to fight the whole game and make it into a recognizable position where the king could see her and say, you know what? That's a queen. Now, the queen is the most dangerous piece on the board, because why? When you look at the ancient times, the queen had the interests of the kingdom at the forefront of her honor and position. Because why? If there's no king, there's no kingdom. She's not a queen if something happens to this guy. So her popularity, her strength, her purpose is actually encapsulated, intertwined with the glory of this man. And if this man is dishonored, she has no honor. See? So as I look at the chessboard, I realize it was all about what? Order. Every piece on the board playing their position in order to do what? To sustain the kingdom. Now, what makes the woman such a deadly piece on the chessboard is because of her femininity, her wisdom, and growing into the position of a queen, understanding the overall objective, which is what? Upholding the kingdom. She's able to operate on many levels. Her beauty will get her into areas her husband cannot get into. She'll hear the things her husband would seldom hear. Why? Because normally people wouldn't talk amongst the king or to the king in fear of what he might do. But they'll say things to the queen, knowing that she's more what? She's more, I wouldn't say agreeable, but she's more caring, nurturing, not quick to wrath unless you threaten her king. So she can hear things and whispers in the room and in the kingdom that the husband would never hear, but she's listening to defend the kingdom. See? So if there's a threat, the king will know about it through how the queen moves. She's next to the knight. She's next to the bishop. She's talking to the pawns. She's down there in the laundry room. She's down there in the kitchen. She's amongst the servants. You know what I mean? She's doing everything. Sometimes she'll get down and cook with them. She'll get down and operate with them. But yet, here's the deep thing about the queen. She can be passive and as feminine as can be. But for her king, deadly. deadly. Now, why am I making this example? Because they knew, Elder Lawyer, that queen was the daughter of Zion and did everything to take that away from us. They knew without her, we would be exposed. We, the kings, would be vulnerable. Because we don't have that person next to the wall hearing what's going on to protect us. We're at odds at the woman who was made to protect us. Right? How did we get here? We're going to go into the scriptures in a moment. So what they had to do, Elder Lawyer, they had to do a Jedi mind trick. They had to do a bait and switch. They had to do a bait and switch. They say, well, listen, we can't convince these women to go against Judah. They would very well die before turning their back on their own men. But we have to convince the woman to do it by using our women. They would have to sacrifice their own to get to ours. Yeah. No wonder the chessboard has black pieces and white pieces. Jacob and Esau. Because I'll tell you this. Esau woman, to protect her king, is also a cunning hunter. And deception is one of their greatest war tactics. Fair use. What happened? Fair use. Now, this is only a segue into what we're going into Sunday. For the first time, a roundtable discussion in the academy. The same time the civil rights movement gained recognition throughout the earth, where our people received sympathy. And overall, there was an overall move amongst the international body to actually make amends for what they did to the slaves, our people. Automatically, a war comes out of nowhere where the sympathy, the pendulum, well before the civil rights movement, a war comes out of nowhere, World War I, World War II. Well, now the sympathy goes to some war of some Europeans over in Europe. So that they can say, well, something happened to us too. Right? Drugs come on the scene out of nowhere. A war, Vietnam War, subsequent to that. And now they're saying, well, while they're weak, let's begin to peel and push the Judite woman and the Judite man. Let's begin to peel them apart. Cosmo Girl. This is where it was. Elder Lawyer, I'm going to let you hear this. You probably heard it before, but we're going to hear this all the way through to hear how they were working on dividing women from men, even if it meant hurting their own people, their own nation. That's why Christ said a nation divided against itself cannot stand.
Now, Helen Gurley Brown, the editor of Cosmo, you had some interesting conversations with her and you learned some interesting things you share in your book about how Cosmo got across a certain philosophy or message to women at the time. Right. Can you share more about that?
Right. She taught that sex without the kids and hard work will set you free. That was Helen Gurley Brown.
She taught what? She taught what? So this was an ideology created, folks, by the devil. She taught what?
Can you share more about that?
Right. She taught that sex without the kids and hard work will set you free. That was
Sex without the kids and hard work would set you free. They sat around a boardroom, folks, the media, the think tanks, and said, here's the idea we're going to push on society to divide family. Sex without children and hard work will set you free. Free from who? The men who were born to protect you.
that was that girly.
Now, for those who don't know about Sue Ellen Browder, Jewish. Sue Ellen Browder, these were women that were hired under Cosmopolitan to tell women lies, to make them feel that the traditional woman was less than, to make them feel that you can have it all in the world and chase your dreams and chase money like a man and believe that there'll be a man at the end of it. When really they were teaching women to choose the state and their jobs over family and legacy.
Brown's philosophy. She was had been a copywriter in California. She was one of the biggest advertising copywriters in the country. She was very good at what she did. And then she took Cosmopolitan, which had been a homemaker's magazine, and turned it into a sex rag, basically. And it was very, very popular in those days. Cosmo was the hottest women's magazine in the nation. And that was her philosophy. Hard work and sex without the kids will set you free. She didn't have children. She was married, but she didn't have children, nor did she want them. She said children were more of a nuisance than a blessing. And you could get married, but you should have abortions, or you should use the pill. And if the pill failed, you should have an abortion.
Can you tell me more how she instructed you and other writers, to sell her particular ideology?
We made up a lot of those stories. It was just, for example, a young woman, her name is Mia, she goes to Paris, she meets a man on the Champs-Elysees. That night, they fall in love that day. They go to hotel on the left bank, and the next morning, she knows that she's in love. It's all beautiful. It was all made up. There was no Mia, there was no hotel on the left bank. It was all.
They would make up stories, folks. They would make up stories to have women in these small towns who are solely happy with a simple life, to make women believe that they were missing out on something. And at this time, these women had everything: husband, family, children, legacy, inheritance. There was no such thing as people dying, having nothing to leave to their children at this time. They made up a story about a girl who left a small town and went somewhere and made it and is doing all these things. And now women are looking at their responsibility, their duty God has blessed them with, as boring, as something boring. Psychology, folks. When these women, they didn't have everything, but they were happy. They had family. It doesn't matter your job. It doesn't matter your finances. Nothing can replace family, folks. Nothing can replace the purpose God has placed us here for.
All an illusion. And we created this fantasy world. The Cosmo Girl, at least in the beginning, before a lot of women began to buy into it, the Cosmo Girl was just a sexual fantasy. She was a marketer's dream, however, because she would work hard. And she was on the pill, and she would get an abortion, so they weren't going to have to fire her for being pregnant because she was never going to get pregnant. Okay, she didn't press for working women's rights. She didn't press for family rights. She didn't press for child care. She just worked hard and for the corporation. Basically, she was a man.
So
okay.
then, so it would make sense. I mean, Helen Gurley Brown's sexual revolution. Then, what was abortion to them? How did abortion fit in with their plans?
Well, first of all, Helen Gurley Brown, I don't know if she ever had an abortion. She did not get married until she was 37. She was married for 50 years to the same man. But the reason abortion fit into her plans of the way women should get ahead was because she was selling the life that corporate America wanted women to live. So that they could have women working, but they wouldn't have to mess around with all that.
So in that way,
stuff.
pregnant women and moms were an inconvenience to Helen Gurley Brown, just like they were to a lot of employers.
There was a secret that nobody knew, is that mothers were not actually in the magazine. You never saw a mother in the magazine. You never saw a child in the magazine. Propaganda is half-truth, selected truth, and truth out of context. It isn't just a bunch of lies. And one thing that people don't recognize about propaganda when they look at it is look for the things that aren't there. The things that are invisible. The mother and the child was invisible in the Cosmo Girl philosophy.
So Helen Gurley Brown, she has this magazine. There's no kids, there's no women, there's no pregnancy. It's about sex, it's about products, it's about this materialism.
Right.
How did that flesh with her own lifestyle? Because from all accounts, she married one guy and expected him to be faithful to her and lived her life out with him.
Right. They were married.
See, but what they didn't tell these women that at this time during the cosmopolitan age, folks, they didn't tell the women that this cosmopolitan lifestyle ends at 30. See, one thing about a magazine, you can take a picture in your 20s and the picture lasts forever. Right? So you have people looking at these magazines as if these people are arrested in time and will not age. So the psychologists and the evildoers targeted the most fertile time of a woman's life, the most productive time of a woman's life, and the most influential of a time of a woman's life. They needed to take that and use that all for the state, not for a family. You take away that, you take away future inheritance for the children. Why? Because she's working and spending just to provide a lifestyle of cosmopolitan. And that in of itself created a competitive environment amongst women who worked so that they cannot look less than the other women who had things. And now the corporations are happy. They're making all the money, and there's no money left for the generations to come.
For 50 years. Remember, she didn't get married until she was 37. And Helen said that this was the way she had lived in the beginning. This is how she got so far ahead. She urged young women to sleep their way to the top. Sleep with the boss if he's a married man. And she said it's good to sleep with a married man.
Women sleeping with her married husband. So that was more other
that
people
was different. That was
should
different.
live that life.
Cosmopolitan, folks. This is what we see online today, Elder Lawyer, they call hypergamy. Use what you got to get what you want in your most attractive years.
Lifestyle,
That's
not her,
right.
not her and her family.
Not her family, not her husband, especially not her husband.
Then they begin to sell this dream to destroy our community. At the same time, Shahrazad Ali of the Nation of Islam, elder lawyer in the 70s, began to make circulations on popular talk television programs, like daytime programs like Montel Jordan. I mean, not Montel, Montel. Montel Jordan is a singer. Montel. And Dinah Hill. And she wrote a book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And you know what? At this time, the media made a full court press to discredit and to silence this woman. Fair use.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is the direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations
Fair use.
that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done or that we do daily that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that being my own person and I'm independent would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. We have some serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida and they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about them real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. You know them women that had men if they got a bunch of children. They need fathers. They need protection. We hear about the drug problem that we have in our projects across the country. It's one of the major places that we have a drug problem. We talk about the great strength that we have as black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single black men. Those apartments belong to black women who are allowing this to go on in their home. We have not looked at what part of the responsibility do we share. Yes, black men sell a lot of drugs, and a lot of us black women get the money from them drugs and buy some of these fancy clothes we wear. Drive around in some of these fancy cars. He is not doing these things alone and without support from us, whether they are good or bad. See, we have a lot of power. We are very strong women. I'm saying that we're using our strength in the wrong direction. We're using it to tear our man down, tear our nation down, instead of building it up. Having an education and a job does not necessarily mean you have a successful life. I keep telling black women that to raise a child, they say, well, I provided with food, clothing, and shelter. That's not raising a child, that's maintaining one. To raise a child, you need a parental coalition of a man and a woman. We have sons who, by not having a father in the home, they don't know how to respect women. They take on the black female emotionalism. They're doubtful, they're indecisive, they can't make a decision. They don't know what to do about being a man because we can't teach them that. We don't have that knowledge. We have daughters who grow up in a home where they don't see any affection, where there's no man there. They go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have no idea how to be no woman to no man, how to function in a house with a man, because they haven't seen it. Most of our children, just like us, get all the information we have about how you be with a mate off television. It's the only medium that shows us anybody being together. Those rules have not worked for us. The white woman's liberation movement, we don't have anything to do with that. We have not been under the control of the black man for over 500 years, so what do we have to get liberated from them from?
Whoa. Whoa. Now, this sister of many is the example that it's not all women. There's a lot of women out there just like this who believe and stand with their man just like this, who's getting silenced, who are being silenced. We don't know that women like this exist because media would like us to believe that all of our women are loud, all of our women are disrespectful, that all of our women don't care about their man, and that's not so at all. And no one is willing to get to the bottom of and talk about what leads to uncooperative behavior. Not to make an excuse for it. What leads to an angry person? And I said this earlier, brothers and sisters, what's being ignored in our community? I said it earlier for those who missed it. How many of our young sisters grow up in a neighborhood or in the hood or in one of these inner cities who's carefree, who's innocent, dependent on the protection of her parents, only to have some stranger come in the room to take her innocence without protection? We've been downplaying how many of our sisters have been violated like that, but see them as an adult and can't put two and two together because they have compartmentalized it and hid it away and lash out because if she couldn't be protected at 7, 8, 5 years old, how could she trust anyone in the world to protect her if her own father and mother couldn't? This is the curse of Deuteronomy 28, folks. And it's not just happening to the little girls in our neighborhoods. It's happening to the little boys in our neighborhoods. They wanted the man away so that they can get to our children and turn our children out. See? Fair use.
They haven't been our boss. That's the white woman and her man. They're going through that, and that's their business. We don't have any business being in that. They only introduced it to break down the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement started with the black man, the black woman, and the black child standing together, trying to plead for freedom, justice, and equality, and more benefits in the country that they had built. They threw the white woman in there with the women's liberation movement and made it a woman against man thing. That created a big separation between black men and black women because then everybody started going for self. Then they bring the welfare system in and tell us in order to feed and clothe and house our children, we have to give up our man. You have to put the man out of the house. When the white farm wife goes to the government for subsidy for the farm, they don't tell her to get rid of the farmer. They keep that family together. But in the black community, they make it a requirement because they want to keep endorsing into the black community that the black man is no good and that he is not deserving of respect. He is not deserving of us letting him give us any protection or instruction, and that we are better than them. The major responsibility that the black woman has had on the earth for the trillions of years that we have been here has been one of nutrition and birthing children. Those two things have a great deal to do with the survival of any people, the reproduction of the nation, and feeding them the proper food so that they can live. Those are very important jobs. Those are very powerful positions because it puts us in a position to decide who's going to live or die and how slow they're going to die by what we feed them. We have a very powerful position. That's not a small role that we play. We have just been taught to misrepresent and misuse that power. The people who we have been counting on to give us the truth about how to get along have failed. The white people don't know how to get along. They don't have that information themselves. They don't get along with nobody on earth. So they didn't have no information to impart to us about how we're supposed to get along. They change their relationship rules at will. We have, tons of black children around this country that I hear from who have grown.
And when she say, in particular, white people change the rules at will, what she mean by that, for those who don't understand, it's all about keeping and consolidating power. So if they have to change the environment through social engineering for self-preservation, they'll do that. There is no one way or a traditional way of keeping power for them. That's what she's talking about. They'll change the environment altogether if they see their power begins to wane or slip, regardless of what the effect it would have on family. That's what she's talking about. Look at what's going on now, where all these genders and all these other things they're doing. It's all to confuse family and do what? Keep power. Okay? Now that people are nipping on their heels and calling them out for all their wickedness they have done throughout the ages, now the only thing they can do is misdirect and just throw everything on the wall, hoping that we'll focus on them destroying society and not what they're doing to keep power. So we were supposed to stay what? We were supposed to stay grounded with our God, with our family, regardless of what the devil and what these nations were doing. We were supposed to stay rooted and hedged by God. We were supposed to stick together, regardless of the times changing. Let them change as the times change. God is already punishing them. That's why what? Their population is dropping for their act against family. They cannot have a lot of children due to them turning their backs on God. We were supposed to allow them to go ahead and do whatever they wanted to do as time went on. And we were supposed to stay together under God and family. Because family is the image of God. No family, no God. Fair use.
Grown up, traumatized by the fact that they were referred to as the outside child. When we were having children like that, they called it illegitimate children until the white woman started having them, and now it's single parenting. See, they changed the rules according to what they're doing. So I've called on our people to change them depending on what we want to do, what our needs are. There's another need that has not been addressed in our community, because nobody will deal with it, and that's one that God did not create three sexes. We only have men and women. Now, I have not said that we should reject the sisters who try and act like men and the men who try and act like women. I'm not saying to reject them from among us, but they need to be taught. We don't have to accept that as some kind of normalcy, because that's not normal. I'm trying to demonstrate how they have set rules that they have forced us to follow that they don't even follow themselves. They change the rules to suit them when they get ready. We can change them to suit us when we get ready, especially if we have what we have now, which is a failing system. It hasn't worked for us. We don't have to be ashamed that it hasn't worked for us. But we do have to be ashamed of the fact that we keep plodding behind it and not trying to make the corrections that will help our people to survive.
He wants to keep us in this condition. He wants to keep us separated from our man. Because he knows that the only door, the only route he has to destroy our black man is through the black woman.
And I said that earlier, folks. I didn't even hear this piece of what of this particular clip. I said it. They know the only way they can get to us and destroy us is to take our women away from us. They knew this.
educational background is. In fact, we have proven that the more education we get, the more ignorant we get in front of our man.
Hey, listen, I have to tip my Mitri off to this sister here on that. Okay, she honed in. I mean, I'll tell you right now, everything she said back here in the 70s and 80s applies as if she made that speech yesterday. But all in all, to let you know, we were being warned through this whole digression into nothingness the whole time. The media created a lie. They created the cosmopolitan woman out of thin air to lure women from the safety of men, only to force them into the workforce so that they can now lower wages. Why? Because if you can flood the job market, you can pay less to employees. They had to pay the men because why? It was a limited workforce. So people could work on a job 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years and retire because wow, there was no other people to be on those jobs to do that. But they say if we can change the woman into a man or desire what a man wants, we can flood the workforce. That's right. And now lower the wages. Either you pay what we're given or we'll replace you with another, male or female. And then they would make it where if someone choose work over family, she would have to work well past the ages. Think about it. A woman usually would be out of the workforce even if she worked, because men and women always had odd jobs together. But she would stop working once having the children, or no later than 35, 40, a woman wasn't working. She would retire at 40. And the man would work and retire at 65. Now, by doing this, they would have a woman she would need to work up until the time she passed. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
I want to get a few scriptures here, if we may.
Absolutely.
How did we get here? Well, there was a curse written of in the Bible, Deuteronomy 28, where the hedge began with the curse of slavery, disobedience, because we went against the laws of God and began to follow the ways of the nations. The Most High would place a temporal curse on the children of Israel, our people. And it would, and then through that captivity, it would ferment a mistrust between man and woman. Why? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Let's go to where it says, if we didn't follow, what would happen? Deuteronomy 28 and 15, and how they would take our women away from us.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse number 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Come on. Let's go down to where the women would be taken from us.
Yes, sir. Verse number 29. And thou shalt grope in noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Read that part again.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Now look how emasculating is that. You shall betroth a wife. This happened in slavery, folks, where a man worked and did everything he could to get one particular woman who would bring forth his children. One of the few happy moments one can get under chattel slavery. Only for, listen to this, only for this to happen. The night before the marriage, the plantation owner, master, would call for your bride to be as a reminder of who really owns her. The night before your wedding, she's all getting dialed up, never been touched by any man, getting ready to jump the broom already, only for two white men to come into the room and bring her and say, someone would like to see you before your wedding day. Violate her, clean her up, and then give her to her husband, the husband to be, after violating her. So epigenetics is real, brothers and sisters. Even though the man did nothing wrong, she'll always see this man whom she married, this strong black man who was born to protect her, as inferior. As inferior. Sending a message to him, not just to her, to the man too, that she's yours because what? I allow you to marry her. She yours because I've allowed it. And then create a whole structure, a whole society, a whole society with that embedded within the intertwined within the fabric of the country, where he'll always deem, the man will always what? Will be deemed inferior compared to those who have enslaved him. Now, I don't want to have to go through the whole Willie Lynch. Read that last piece again.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse number 30.
Come on.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
And another man shall lie with her. Folks, they were doing other things too. Why do you think Jamaica is so adamant against what they would call the alternative lifestyle of homosexuality? Why do you think that they're so adamant? Well, folks, this is not a conspiracy theory. It's true. It's in one of my books back here also. Jamaica was one of the countries, folks, where if there were undisciplined slaves, men, they would send them over to Jamaica to certain houses where these men would be violated by other men as a form of a lesson, okay? To show them a lesson of what happens to disobedient bucks. And then they would put them back on a ship and send them back to their master broken. Now just imagine a strong slave that no one could contain, could do anything against. Everyone on the plantation feared his strength, only for him to be sent away for 2-3 months and come back. He would come back, walking a little different. Let me put it that way. Only to come back walking and speaking a little different. This is why Jamaica is so adamant against it because that's the place they used to send strong slaves to be broken. And imagine a woman who thought that that man could protect her. Imagine her watching this guy totally broken coming off the ship. Subconsciously, sisters would begin to believe what? Our men aren't really in a position to protect us if I really need protection. And through epigenetics, and that's out there, look it up, it becomes subconscious amongst our people. And women, being the weaker vessel, usually side with what? Security. Not that what they're doing, some of what they're doing is right, but self-preservation kicks in. That they'll start doing things strictly to survive for the sake of preservation. Self-preservation. Read that again.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse number 30.
Yep.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You shall
betroth or be engaged with a woman, a wife, and another man will lay with her right before you get an opportunity to. Imagine going to another man and asking that man for permission, to get permission for your woman. Imagine the psychological play that places not just on you and her, but your children. And that's why Baruch 3:8 says, we're yet this day in our captivity. They have systematically changed the game a little bit, but it's still the same. And it would lead to a level of what? If you can't protect me, that feeling alone can breed contempt. And a better word above that would be disrespect. How can I respect someone who can't protect me? So that's the battle that they have created through social engineering us against our woman. But the Most High is, or the other way around, the woman against the man. But the Most High is saying, well, listen, we're too late in the game for us to just look back and keep licking our wounds on how we got here. You all better get together and put that behind you and come together while there's time, while there's still time, because the curse has been lifted. The curse have been lifted. You know you're Israel now. The devil cannot take that from you now. You understand who you are and how we got here. It came with the disobedience against our God. But now we understand who we are, and now we can repent for our past actions and stand as men and women of God. Folks, there's no more excuses. We know this is how we got here. But when the Most High gave Israel back its name, when he gave back the man the name Israel and gave back our women the title daughter of Zion, no longer could we blame the past for what? Our current actions against one another. The Most High from the heavens have spoken and saying, listen, you've been forgiven. Now forgive yourself, man and woman, forgive each other, man and woman, and come together. I'll take care of master. I'll take care of him. Because you're no longer under him as a master. I'm your master. I'm your God. Dry your tears, Israel, and come together. Right? Are y'all with me here? Are y'all with me? Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to the scripture where it says, when a woman goes from a man, even it tells us in Ezekiel, it says that when she goes with others, she's no longer desired, but yet the Most High have forgiven and taken us and have took us back.
Let me try Jeremiah 3. I think that's the one you're referring to, but if it's not.
Jeremiah 3:1. Let's read that.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah 3:1.
Yep.
They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he not return unto her again?
So it
or
says,
shall he return unto her again?
It says when a woman has a man and go to another man, usually a man will never take that woman back. Right? But listen to this, fellas. Listen to this, brothers. Listen to this, family. Come on.
Shall not that land be greatly polluted?
Come on.
But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers.
But yet we, as a people, men included, has played the harlot with many lovers. We went against our God, dealing with all different types of nations. Read.
Yet, return again to me, saith the Lord.
But yet the Most High allows us as a people in sin against him on earth. Even though we've done wrong against him, the men, he allow us back. The women, he allow us back. Even in our darkest moments, he forgives us. Why can't we extend that forgiveness to each other? We're the most spiritual, loving, God-fearing, church-going people on earth. But we can't even forgive each other. All of us have done wrong. Yet God have given us opportunity to repair our wrong and stand clean with white robes without blaming us for all the sin we've done against him. But yet man and woman, we do one thing wrong against each other and it's bets off. It's over. And there's another layer. Sometimes I believe, and I'm going to go into the scriptures on this, this coming Sunday. The reason why it's so hard to forgive others is because we have individuals, all of us, a lot of us are dealing with this. It's hard for us to forgive others because we can't even forgive ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even forgive ourselves. So it makes it hard for us to understand what that is, to utilize it and benefit with that spirit to actually forgive someone else. We hold so much resentment, anger, the past, everything, and we carry that with each other, and then we expect the person that we love or the person that we're with, we expect them to accept all the baggage and all the wrong. You understand? That they haven't even forgiven their past. They haven't even forgiven their past or themselves from. And we are a bunch of broken people coming together broken. And the Most High is like, listen, the fight is over, Israel. I'm forgiving you. Forgive yourself. Have some peace in your marriages. Have some peace in your family. Enjoy. It's over. I'm bringing you to Zion. Stop fighting each other. All the anger, the fighting, the resentment. With that same time we can be loving each other, what happens? None of us can get back any of these, any second that was lost. We can't get back yesterday, and we can't get back the time past. Why waste it fighting one another? Now, I'm going to swing back to, real quick, because I don't want to talk about everything I'm going to talk about Sunday, because it's a Sunday roundtable in the academy. But we're going to go back to what? There's hope for the daughters of Zion. There's hope. As we can see, a lot of sisters out there in the world have given up. They think no one loved one, no one loved them, no one cared for them. They also believe, because of some of the mistakes they have made that cannot be changed, those mistakes have put them in a position where they can't hope for anything better based on their past. And a lot of them out there, like I mentioned earlier, Elder Lawyer, are too proud to say they need help. Or, I need a man. And I'm willing to be humble, and I'm willing to be feminine if the Most High will bless me with a good man. That's Jeremiah 3:1.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse number 1.
Come on.
They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. Yet return again to me, saith the Lord.
Look at
Lift
that.
up.
Go ahead, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 2. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast not been lying with. In the ways hast thou sat for them as the Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness.
See that? And the Most High is saying, well, listen, I'm willing to forgive your past and the things you did, but you have to come back. You have to come back under the level of righteousness and my law. I'm going to tell you what they sold to our people. What they sold to our people, and we've purchased it to the fullest. We've taken it in. And this spirit alone is destroying our people. And what's that? The do as thou wilt philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
That's an Aleister Crowley, Satan's son's philosophy that's under some oaths through Freemasonry. Hey, see what I'm looking at here? The Origin of Freemasonry in the Knights Templar, the original book I have. It shows, I broke it down in the academy, the Kaaba stone, the Edomites and all that had the Kaaba stone before the Arabs did. A satanic rock that they put in a place where Satan come and operate and deal with their spiritual leaders. The imams are Satanists, the same as the Pope. They're Satanists. And I'm going to tell you that it goes into the different rites and all that. The Knights Templar are your modern day Jesuits, your modern day apologetics who try to act as if they are Christian apologetics. They're satanic Jesuits. And they have always been stirring the pot to destroy family, aimed mainly towards, at the end of it, targeting us, the 12 tribes of Israel. Predominantly, Their greatest target is the black man, the so-called black man and black woman. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi are their greatest targets. And the black woman, the daughters of Zion. So this is why they have us infighting with one another, especially Judah. Why? The black men in America is Judah, because they know once we fall in line, all the other tribes follow suit. They all fall in line once we fall in line. And because hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. And the reason why they're doing it and really focusing on Judah, Benjamin, and Levi is because the 10 tribes were broken well before we came to the Americas. 721 BC, the northern kingdom was split under Ephraim and the 10 tribes, and they've been scattered throughout the earth since 721 BC, before Christ, and were scattered amongst all nations. So they were already conquered before we got here. See? So they feel if they can conquer Judah, Benjamin, and Levi all together, then the mission is accomplished. A total destruction of the children of Israel, but they must do it on every level of divide and conquer. We must keep that black woman from the black man. No more. There will never be, according to what they've put together under their, under some of their FBI research and all that. Talk about the black Messiah. Well, yeah. To cancel or have any idea of the growth or the rise of a black Messiah. Okay? Well, in order to do that, what they're saying is you will never, ever see again another Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz. You'll never, ever, ever see another Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. And I need y'all to check this out to show you how deep this is. You showed me a black woman more educated than Coretta Scott King. Right? I think they met in college. But not once did she use her degree as some type of leverage for a position within her marriage. Her intellect and education was used to help meet and bolster the power that was through her husband. They got that whole thing twisted. Right? And I'm putting this out there because right now I see what's going on online, and there's an intentional attack on black women. There's an intentional attack on them. And the government is allowing it to happen because the pendulum have swung. Now that we see what feminism has done against us, men are no longer participating in the feminist game. So men started to push back at it. And they said, okay, execute Order 66. Let's attack the women then. If men ain't getting with women like that and having children with them, where the state can come in and now control the man from being able to grow by having the money, divided between another family of the woman and the state. If men are no longer participating in their own demise, then we must switch the game. Men are talking about going into other countries and doing it that way, trying to throw things off. So they're like, hold up, we're not trapping them under the state anymore. And it was like, well, what can we do? Attack their women. Attack their women. And a lot of people talk about the negative about Kevin Samuels and things, but if you really listen to Kevin Samuels when he had conversations with women who weren't irate, disrespectful, cutting him off. He had a lot of good conversations, constructive conversations. And if you really were listening to him, he was trying to help women. He said, I don't care about what's going on with white man and a white woman. That's on them. We need to do things to fix our people. That was his focus. If you really listen to him. He was talking about bringing class back, honor back, shame back. Not that he wasn't saying anything that men weren't thinking, but wasn't saying anything. But you know how the devil works. Who knows how he was pushed out of the way. But after he was gone, there's sites popping up everywhere, just shaming and attacking women. And it's not about, and black women are at the center of the target. And that's wrong. That's wrong. Whether it's correct, whether we have reason to state that what's going on in our community with women has gotten out of hand. Whether or not, folks, I'm going to tell you that right now. Whether or not we have reason to understand what's going on in our community has gotten out of hand. As a people, we are supposed to fix things in-house. We're not supposed to let other races and other nations see our shame and get in on the shaming. That's wrong. Because at the end of the day, just like when it was men being attacked, when men was being attacked under feminism and that's still going on, I had to put a reminder out there and say, well, listen, if you attack us, sisters, you're attacking yourself. Because I'm you and you are me. And it doesn't matter the shame or the ills I point to. I can't utterly exclude myself from the behaviors of my other half. There's no way I can talk about it and shame it and not shame myself. We're in it together. And it's vice versa. We're in it together. So, is there hope? Yes, there's hope. And we're going to talk about it before opening up the lines. What can we do to come to some resolve? Now, we got a round table for the first time in the academy, week 7. So, we're going to talk about it there, an open dialogue. But Elder Lawyer, there's a few things I'm going to go over. But before I do that, is there anything you would like to say?
Absolutely. I think first and foremost that this is definitely a timely discussion, especially with what a lot of we're seeing, as you're mentioning, some of these conversations that we're seeing taking place online on both sides, both from women who are disgruntled with men and men who are disgruntled with women.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about primarily disgruntlement between black men and black women. As we mentioned, what's going on with the other nations, even though ultimately, as believers and teachers of the gospel, we understand that it's to the Jew first, but also to the Gentile.
Yeah.
And we understand that these things are also affecting the Gentile nations. But being Jews, being people of quote unquote color, we always have to keep it in mind that we have to speak to these conversations as it pertains to us first. And one thing that is often missed or not even touched on or discussed in these conversations is something that you touched on earlier, and that is choosing the Most High, irregardless of what the scenarios may be, as far as the societal ills, as far as what may be going on financially, within our communities or within our individual families. It comes a point in which we must choose the Most High out of every circumstance, but also lean upon the Most High's word for understanding as to how we got here in the first place. And because a lot of that is not necessarily either touched on or people are just really ignorant of the biblical narrative of how we got to this point, a lot of these conversations have become circular. A lot of these conversations have just become just something, just conversations that people can have to create viral moments or to get steam behind their channel or build their online personality. That's really what it's become. But at the end of it, you don't really find any true solid solutions. And hopefully this Sunday, I'm not going to go into much, but hopefully this Sunday, we'll be able to present some biblical solutions as to what not only the problem is, but how do we solve the problem? And that's where I think that's where the key lies, the solutions. But getting to the point, where does this all stem from? And I know a lot of people don't believe the Bible. They don't believe the narrative. They don't. A lot of these things they consider to be fairy tales, especially when we're talking about the figures known as Adam and Eve. And again, I'm not going to touch on this too deep. We have a whole lesson on this coming this Sunday. If you want to hear this discussion in, I would say, in a continual discussion in its entirety, as far as the full problem, along with the solutions, I suggest you get into the academy and get into it for this lesson, if not for anything else. This week, what are we? Week number 7. Get into this lesson. I think it is probably one of the most important discussions we're going to have. But nonetheless, just presenting the point. When you go into the scriptures and you understand the narrative as it pertains to how we got where we are, something happened where sin and death entered into the stream of our existence, and it changed our lives and our existence forever. It tells us in the book of Romans 5:12, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. Not some, not just men, not just women, but all have sinned. Okay? So as we're listening to these discussions, we're looking at one side of the discussion, or we're listening to one side of the discussion, and we're hearing men pointing out the negative things that women are doing, pointing out the evil things that women are doing. And you know what? A lot of those discussions, if you listen to them, you can say, that's a good point. You're right. Women are doing those things. Or specifically, Black women are doing those things. Then you'll go to the women's side. You'll hear the women arguments and them pointing out some of the evil things that men are doing. And you'll say, you know what? That makes sense. They're right. Men are doing some of these things. But here's the reality. How is it that both sides can be right pointing out the issues? Well, again, if all have sinned, then both sides are going to have evil or are going to have issues that can be easily pointed out and talked about and discussed. But the question is, where is the solution? There's going to be evil on both sides. Why? Because all have sinned. We've all been touched by this poison, this sting. As it says in the book of Isaiah 53:6, all we like sheep have gone astray. We have all turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord have laid on him the iniquity of us all. So we have all gone astray.
Yeah.
So you're gonna look at what the women are doing, and you're gonna find out that yes, a lot of the things that are being said about the evil things that women are doing, it's true, yes. And on the other end, you're gonna find out that some of the things that are being said by men are true. Why? Because there's sin on both parts. None of us are exempt.
That's true.
When you go to Romans 3:10, last scripture, as it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. This is not just speaking about men, it's also speaking about women. So we both equally share in the iniquity. We both share in the blame. We both share in the evil. And as we're standing on either side, pointing the finger, saying who's wrong, who's responsible, who's accountable for all of this, the Most High is looking down at both of us and saying that you are all accountable. All of you are wrong. And if you all decide not to get this together, then you will all die. Simple and plain. So as you're mentioning, the solution is that we need to figure out outside of the problems. We know what the problems are. We see what the problems are. We see how the serpent entered in. We see the agents that he used to bring in the propaganda and the ideologies and the things that would divide us and separate us. Now, the question is, what is the knowledge and the solutions that will bring us back together? And with that, I yield.
Well, part of the solution, Elder Lawyer, is understanding what the problem is. Right? You said sin.
Right.
You was also talking about ideologies and all these others and the indoctrination as well as the propaganda that have tricked us into accepting what all of us know is an evil life, a wicked life.
Right.
But through propaganda, they can convince you to do it if, that's right, if only you can now what? Get lost in the crowd of others who are doing the same. This is how they were able to change the moral compass in people. Morality went from following a law and following God and standing with under our biblical principles to, it switched to what? The moral line is determined by how many people are doing a particular action. If they're doing it, it must be okay. So that has become the new moral line. And that in of itself, I said, Elder, I talked about the do it thou will ideology. Elder Lawyer, check this out. When I ask you a question, right? Well, how do we fix this? We have to get to the bottom of where you pose the question, how do we fix it? We have to get to the bottom of how we've gotten here, right? I need you to check this out, Elder Lawyer, when that ideology that they would placed on the world through music, an old Aleister Crowley ideology to change the world, to spiral the world into evil, was the what? The do as thou will doctrine. As long as I can justify it and people accept it, it's okay. Check this out. The Bible. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
How do we fix this? I don't know if you have done this, right? Back in the day, right? You take I used to take my sons when they were, toddlers or young, right, into a toy store, right? Now, when you put a child or take a child into a toy store, what happens? What happens? Automatically, with all the choices in the store, it's to a point where you have to now limit what the child's scope is so that you can actually get up out of there. They're in the store grabbing everything, putting it in I can't pay for all of this. But as long as you allow them to put it in there, they're going to just put everything. It's like insatiable. I'm in heaven. I got the truck. I got this. I got that. And I'm like, listen, you cannot have all that. And so what? You set parameters before we bring our children into the toy store. Because who wants to tell their child no? We're going in a toy store, but you can only have 3 things. right? We set parameters as parents, a discipline. Now, y'all may ask me, where am I going for? I'm going here. It tells us in Ephesians 4:14, Elder Lawyer, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried away with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and the cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Now, normally, Elder Lawyer, when we go into the scripture, we only deal with the doctrines of false religion. But Paul wasn't warning us strictly of false religion. When you look at this word, every wind of doctrine, it's what? Instruction. The function or the information or a doctrine or a learning or teaching. It's someone teaching you against your moral standings. He says we can't be like little children. Doctrine, an instructor. Suppose someone is instructing you to do as thou will. That's an ideology or a doctrine. Then it says, Elder Lawyer, a doctor. Suppose a doctor is instructing you to get something that can kill you. Or a master or a teacher. That you do not get tossed all over the place. Now, how am I relating that to any winds of doctrines today, brothers and sisters? Well, first of all, and this is for the sisters, we have to come to a conclusion and understand. Here's the hope. And admit we cannot have it all. We have a short time in this life at our peak to get what we want out of the store and leave. And what's bad about this current society, they made the whole internet, the whole world, a playground to a degree where people believe they have what? Infinite choices. Not willing to settle down with one in fear of what I might miss. There was a thing coming up where it was time to settle down. That's what we called it. But the internet won't allow people to settle down. Because why? That's right. Attention has become a drug. And if I'm exclusive, I have to give up all of this attention to live what once was a traditional, healthy life that has now been relabeled under their doctrine a boring life. That's what we're dealing with here. And time is still ticking and the armies are getting ready. We have to settle down and pray that this one out of everything else fits the bill. Okay? We have to get out of the store. That's why the Bible says we cannot no longer be like little children, sitting there scrolling, and because someone like you and all this stuff, this is not a store. We're no longer children. Paul says, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I act like a child. But when I came of age, I put away childish things. We can't have it all. Grown people choose. Grown people chooses. Because something happens when you let yourself, when people in general, but especially when a woman have too much liberty. She loses herself. She loses who she used to be. Her innocence, her purity. You have to get out of the store. And I hear this all the time, Elder Lawyer. Why should I have to settle? There's hope. But that hope is settling with the one who wants you. That's what it is. Because the one that wants you, that's willing to strive and do everything to get you, he's the one who will appreciate you. Okay? He's the one that who would thank the Most High that he's gotten a woman that he didn't think he could have. That's the man that's going to appreciate you. But the man you're chasing, no. You got to get out of the store. You got to get out of the store and get some protection. A war is coming. Now, Elder Lawyer, this pale in comparison to where we're going this Sunday. I wish the day was Saturday, to tell you the truth, because it's the first time we've ever done anything like this. But,
Absolutely.
Let's go to the virtuous woman.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll open up the lines. I can only do 20 minutes on the lines today. And then after that, because, there's so much between now and Sunday we have to get together. But Elder Lawyer, I can see how any of us can be baited in to these attacks. Not realizing when we look at the curse, that the curses that's written of in the Bible, that if we're the people of the curse, we're the last people who need to get in on shame and attacking our other half. I mean, it's low. We were low-hanging fruit for a long time and didn't like how it feels. And now we're going to get in on just destroying our own women and talking down and just showing their shame as if it's not a reflection of us. So it's time to move this thing to its proper perspective and come with solution and talk solution. And I know there's a lot of things on the surface when people talk about the hair, the nails, and all these things, and this, that, and the other. Like, listen, all those things can come off. All those things could listen, all those things can go away. Okay? A sister or a woman have to feel secure enough, protected enough, loved enough to actually just release all that stuff and say, listen, I'm good because you love me like I am. Okay? I don't need all this. Okay? But it takes the man to lead her through that trouble. A man to lead her through all that, and so that she can openly discuss her childhood, what happened to her, what led her down the road where she began to not love herself like she should. I'm going to tell you, it's an orchestrated effort on either side. Okay? It's an orchestrated effort that we're going to need to help one another and stop shaming one another. Because how many times we have seen a brother who didn't have it all together. He was still a work in progress. The world was beating down on him. And you rarely hear about that sister who's seen something in that man at his lowest state and seeing that diamond in the rough that the whole world sees now in honor and respect, not realizing she seen it and was willing to be patient and do what? Carve that man into that diamond. You very hear about how much patience women have with men who didn't have it together at first. Wearing corny shirts and corny, shoes bent over on one side, and she sat there, she seen you the way you was and say, well, no, honey, those shoes ain't gonna work. Let me straighten your tie up. A matter of fact, or she not gonna embarrass you because you wearing it. You look up and there's a new pair of shoes there. Okay. There's a new shirt there. There's something there. She's not going to say the way you was put together isn't fit, even though you think you think you got it going on. But she was able to work with you and move you into that. But you very rarely hear about that woman. So why can't men do that for women? Instead of shaming them online and all that. Work with them each piece at a time and allow them to be secure enough to actually shed all that stuff they're covering themselves with. So it's an orchestrated effort. We're the same people. It's a shame because at one time we were all together. At least we was all together understanding the enemy at the door. We knew the injustices, how they looked, and who would knock on our door to try to tear our families away. At one time, we were together understanding the enemy. And it's come to a time, let me tell you, they played such a psych job on our people that we hate one another, man and woman, more than the people who have been attacking us since we came here, since we were brought here. They put a mind job on us. But the Most High is putting it out there now and say, listen, we got a short amount of time to get this thing together. A short amount of time to get it together. Stop hating each other. Respect the time we have with one another, knowing that people are dying all over the place. And here it is, we're wasting time fighting one another. It's time to take the time we have to care for each other and love each other and appreciate this time because it's precious, not realizing how long we have on this earth. Okay? And I'm glad someone put that out there. I'm tired of pointing fingers. Exactly. Everyone just need to own all of us need to own our own stuff.
Right.
Elder Lawyer, let me open up the lines, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's open up the lines. And we'll go into this more this coming Sunday. Hold on. Yeah, by the way, I need to tell you all that Passover, will be in Cleveland, Ohio this year. And we'll be able to hold the capacity that's needed. We would have had it in Atlanta, but Atlanta venues, they can't hold the number that we'll have, so in such a short notice. We will be in Cleveland this year, and if it be the Most High's will, the next time we do a Passover, it'll be in our place. It'll be in our venue, if it be the Most High's will. Okay? Something that's blessed where we can have our own.
Absolutely.
Hold on. I'm going to call in real quick. Just give me a couple of seconds and we'll be right back. We have a brand new Academy
Blog
lesson.
Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
We have a brand new lesson. It's titled The Ungodly Divide Between Man and Woman. And guess what? The enemy isn't stopping with just black people. I'm going to tell you that right now. The enemy is decimating all families. Targeting those who believe in God. Okay? So give me 1 second. So we're not going to make this, this weekend. We're not going to make this primarily a black man, black woman conversation, more so than preserving family alive.
Right.
Because there's a lot of these white women that are just off the hook. So this ain't talking about no just black women. These women out there, boy. I don't care if you're Asian, whatever. These women are on something else, right? So, and their men are complaining and all that because why? The do-it-thou-wilt philosophy have utterly eradicated women, especially in the Western world. All right? So hold tight. We'll be right back with the calls. 515-605-9327. I'm going to take a quick 1-minute break and we'll be right back with the calls. Hold tight.
The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited.
Oh yeah. Tonight we probably gonna end it with 2 wrongs up in here, right? But let's open up the lines. We have Andre has a comment. Brother Andre.
Yes, sir. Shalom, Elder. How you doing, sir?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahia. How are you, sir?
I am blessed, sir, by the same. And as always, profound lesson. The Most High is good because you guys are truly responsible through the work of the Holy Spirit for saving generations of families. Because one reality that I face, and you guys touched on this in so many ways, but the perfect example that you gave, Elder, especially for my generation, is the child inside the toy store, the candy store with so many options. I spoke on a podcast radio station interview about 2 months ago, and we talked about relationships. And I said I think the biggest downfall of our modern generation is instant gratification, that vanity and vexation and spirit that comes with that, the demon that comes with that, because now I can get on social media and I have the option to be instantly gratified. People I would have never met in this world in person, I have the option to be gratified by them through attention, through whatever it may be, lust of the flesh. I have that option. And the technology was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because we can spread the truth through the 4 corners of the world like you guys have done. But it was a curse because, like you said, the technology affords us the ability to always have access to that candy store. I can unlock my phone at any moment, get on Instagram, and now I'm looking at the candy store. And the misconception is that the grass is always greener on the other side, not realizing that's GMO grass. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's so profound when you guys bring us back to the basics and you say, listen, This is what the Bible says a marriage looks like. And what's so beautiful about Romans 1, and I you know what, I'll share something very personal with the body right quick, Elder. Romans 1 talks about inordinate affections. And of course, Paul was talking about men and women and things like that. But one thing I looked at when it came to the lust of the flesh and instant gratification, even something I saw in college and myself between using social media to contact a bunch of different people.
Okay.
That's not a natural affection either. Because a man was made to be a man with one woman in a family. And you get on social media and you have men everybody trying to live like Andrew Tate. Like the example you gave. I want to say it was last Friday. And that's an unnatural affection also. And one thing you touched on was abuse. And basically what I'll share with you is between the ages of 4 and 6, I was actually sexually abused by a babysitter of mine. And
sorry to hear that.
Looking back, thank you, sir. All praise to the Most High, healed, recovered. You know, that could have been something that brought us into truth. So I'm grateful for anything that the Most High aligned in the path to get us here. But I think what's so amazing about the perspective that you give is because looking back at that situation, that little girl who did it to us, she was between the ages of 14 and 16 years old, meaning somebody was doing it to her. She wasn't protected first. And it truly shows the damage of our community. It truly shows the damage of our community and the reconstruction, the re-education, the revitalization, all these things that has to be done through the tenets of Christ, using the fruits of the Spirit, using the Beatitudes, using the tools that we have within the Scripture. And that's why I spoke about Romans 1, where Paul talked about professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. That's us with this access to technology. My generation has the greatest access of technology we've ever had, but no wisdom on how to use it. And with that, I'll yield, Elder. But I just want to say, bless you, because you guys are responsible for saving a generation of families. And it's all praise to the Most High.
Thank you, my brother. And of course, I'll see you on Patreon. My brother, I really respect you, man. You're my man. So, hey, I'll talk with you Friday on Patreon, my brother. Shalom. All right.
Bless you, Elder. Thank you, sir.
Bless you. All right. We have Dennis who have a comment here. There's hope for the daughters of Zion. Yes, there is. The Most High, listen, the Most High didn't give up on us. Neither shall we give up on our people, on our sisters. Right now, the internet and everything is beating down on our sisters. We have Danita. Okay, that's Danita. Danita 443. Shalom.
Shalom, elders. This is Danita from DMV.
Yes.
I just want to say that the topic tonight was very profound, and I just feel like the nation, as a whole, needs to heal, from everything, and like you said, stop pointing fingers and try to find, own up to what we do and just try to make it right with each other within our nation.
Yeah.
And, just go back to the Most High. And I just yield with that.
Well, thank you, sister. Praise the Most High. Thank you. And I hope you'll be there for this Sunday. All right.
Yep. I'm in the academy.
Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. We have Shamna Wa'ala. Shemaya Allah.
Shalom, brother.
Shalom. How are you?
I'm well. I just want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High for this ministry. Definitely bringing back families to the fold, and fathers to the sons, and mothers to the family as well. I just had a comment about, I really like the soul era and how our people operated aside from the atmosphere of obviously the drugs that were used. But I felt like looking back, because I wasn't present. Sorry, I wasn't present, but I just felt like there was a lot of love amongst us back then, and we were more tight knit. And we were more natural in all our ways as a people, you know, like as far as how we carried ourselves. Brothers dressed with class, they walked with class, they walked upright. Sisters, same. You know, we're definitely closer back then, and I think that it starts with how we present ourselves as men and women to each other and in our communities to get us back to be able to be proud of where we come from. You know, we are proud in understanding who we actually are to God today, but amongst ourselves to look our brothers in the eye and say, you're my brother, you know. So our sisters look our sisters in their eyes and say, look, you're my sister, you know. And I just think it's coming to a head where that's going to come back alive, where we're able to have these discussions.
Yeah.
And that's my comment.
Thank you, my brother. And yeah, there was more love coming up. Those 90s, those 80s, those 2000s, early. Yeah, you're right. Before the internet. All right, thank you, my brother. And I'll tell you what, the Bible says knowledge will increase. The internet have done a lot of positives also in putting out the word and bringing our people together. All right, and but on the other hand, I mean, I seen online the other day where, you know, and I'm gonna see if I can get that video and show it, where there was a scenario. It's a younger girls in their 20s. Where the husband now she already have a husband. She won. She should be out the store. She already have one. She actually won. You know how many women that can't find a husband? She's in her mid-20s and the husband gave her an ultimatum and said, listen, you know what I mean? It's either Instagram or me. I can't do it no more. This thing have consumed you. And you know what? She says, listen, well, if you're going to try, you're insecure because you make me make a choice when I'm already with you. So if you're going to be insecure, then you're not going to make me do anything. So if you're going to try to make me do something that makes me happy and try to stop my happiness, then this marriage is over anyway. And I just shook my head. I'm like, I looked at it and I said, I can only pray for this sister, because her 20s, she's probably, you know, nice looking and all these other people giving her likes and jumping into her DMs. But in 10 years, when he is who you know he is, that's why you married him, and another one have him, another woman will have him, and now your DMs are dried up. You're going to realize, you know what I mean? You're going to realize that you were deceived. I mean, he says, listen, I can't do it no more. I need you to pay attention to me, my family, our family. And she went and shamed him and said, your insecurity, this, that, and the other, you must be insecure. She's young. She probably don't realize the depths of her choices right now. That's why I said we can only pray. Because she's already won. If her husband says he didn't want on Instagram, she should have said, listen, I will allow you to hit the delete button. You're more important than some stinking Instagram. But this is where we are right now. And then down the line, she's going to probably have regret, because I mean, I know what it is being young. We believe that we're going to be that age forever. When you're in your 20s, you never think of 40, 50. Like, that's so far off from you. That's so far off. And it's a shame, because the 20-year-olds don't have the same time to get it right as we had. They don't have that much time. They have to almost immediately guess right. But she won already. She already have a husband. Get out of the store. Dawada.
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I am Fantastic. I appreciate you asking, my brother. All praise be to the Most High. I just wanted to touch slightly on this unforgiveness topic, because I think, at least for me, I mean, I can't speak to everybody else, but I think it's a pretty detestable characteristic to have. You know, it takes a lot of energy harboring unforgiveness against people who are fallible. You know, I believe that, you know, if we truly love Christ, we truly believe in the Most High, who can pick us out from a grain of salt in the middle of the ocean and still love us regardless of our errors, then we should be able to do that, because I believe that, you know, love is something that is infallible. You know, and I always like to go to, you know, Romans when I talk about this. It says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of the Most High. And because we've all fallen and we've all sinned, and the Most High is still gracious enough and merciful enough to forgive us, that I don't understand how we can't forgive our fellow brother or sister who, again, is fallible. We have to go into life expecting people to make mistakes. And if I focus only on your weaknesses, then I limit you from who you can really become. And I don't want to walk through my life having to put limitations on people based off of errors of their past. And I think that a lot of people go around collecting jars of hearts and resentment, and they walk around with it so that the next person they meet in their life, they're already expecting failure from them, because they're harboring this unforgiveness that from their past that Christ has already forgiven them from. And I think that if they use that same forgiveness and pass that forward, that's the love that'll cover a multitude of sins. You know, I like, my wife says to me all the time, like, my dog bit one of my other dogs in the face, and I got upset and I smacked my dog, and 3.5 minutes later, I'm over there petting her. My wife's like, well, she's not going to learn her lesson. Granted, she won't learn her lesson, but I can't expect anything different out of a dog who has dog-like characteristics. So if I look at every human and within their realm of their characteristics and say, oh no, you're going to fail me every time, then I'll never be able to progress with my life in Christ, because I'm going to be looking at everybody, my brothers and sisters, as failures.
Well, thank you, brother.
And I just think that love will cover. Yeah, Khan, all praises.
Great points. Great points. We must have forgiveness. You're right. You're right. And I think that's one of the greatest, I would say, obstacles that we have. We don't want to admit within ourselves that we as a people can be unforgiving. It's time to put all those things to the side. Christ forgave us continually. Continue to forgive us. But yet we so high and mighty to a degree where someone does something wrong, we can't forgive them or give them another chance, or continually hold it against them. We can't do it. Gianna has a comment. Shalom.
Shalom, my daughter. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahaya. Talk to me.
All praises. I just wanted to come on. This was a very timely broadcast this evening. It definitely was in time. But I just wanted to say, well, yes, there is still hope for the daughters of Zion. But I think a major thing for people who are around my age, because I'm 20, and it's funny that y'all mentioned people not thinking about their age at this young age.
Yeah,
I get a lot of like my aunties in church and like older sisters telling me, you know, I wish I had come into the truth at your age and started getting this growth that you have now. And I feel like us coming from all different walks of life, we're still learning to forgive ourselves, and we don't really know where to turn, especially when we've like just been baptized and still working on getting ourselves like together. I think that's where the hope, especially in the body and welcoming new people in, is that unity that we have, that we so desperately need. Because I know another brother a couple calls back was talking about how we need to, how there was a love back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s that we just don't have anymore. And I feel like that is a major thing that we are missing, especially in a sisterhood. Like, it is something that is missing, and we need to rebuild it, especially with these times that we are in. We're eventually only going to have each other. So I believe that unity is something that is so strongly required. But with that, I yield.
Well, sister, I think the Most High that some of that love we're talking about that was lost from our community in the 80s, 90s, and all that. We have that have resurfaced. I've found that love within this church, and it's good to know that there's other people with like minds who see things the same way and is willing to stand and reinforce and bring that type of love, and keep that type of love amongst the remnant who are left here. So, yeah, I mean, I wish it was in the community. Everyone is in their own little conclave within our communities now. Every family is about their own house, their own place, their own apartment, and people just go out and don't even see each other anymore. It's no more. It's no longer neighborhoods. It's the Walking Dead. So, but you're right. It used to be more of a community. I mean, it's to a degree where, believe it or not, sister, when I was growing up, I thought the people on my block was related to me. And when you get older, you start to realize. You understand? We grew up like we're cousins or something, right? So, yeah.
I think that's what I've come in. That's what I've come to in the church, because I have a lot of friends around my age, and I even have friends that are from other bodies, and even I have a friend who's over in GeoCity, Birmingham, in the UK.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten to know these girls so well. Like, I've never had such good friendships, such good bonds with people in my whole life until I came to this church and started bonding with these girls who are now like my very best friends.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, I love y'all.
Bless you. And yes, I know a lot of no one can change, sister, or go back in time and change, but you are in a blessed position to be at your age, to understand what this is, to not make a lot of errors. Life isn't going to, the errors of life isn't going to dictate your path, right? You're in a very good place. Just stay there and understand it's about serving the Most High first, and keep your body pure for that man the Most High will bless you with, and understand that there's honor that comes with that and a reward. Okay, so you are in a very, very good position, not to have, stumble through life with regret. You understand? You're in a good place. Just make sure you stay there and always keep the Most High at the forefront. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Bless you.
Give him praise for all things.
All right. Shalom. All right. Tiara has a comment.
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahia.
That is amazing. I can't believe I got into queue. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get over that. But
Okay.
I just have 2 quick points.
Yeah.
I had, when I was younger, like young, 15, I remember having a conversation with a woman in church. And I was like, I'm not going to get married until I'm in my 30s. And she was like, you don't know what God got planned for you. And I was like, yeah, 30. And then, by the Most High's timing, I got married at 23. And I've been married since. And
Good for you.
I'm 30 right now. And I just praise the Most High for my husband. And then also touching the part where you said, like, the women who get a diamond in the rough. Like, when I met my husband, he was a diamond in the rough. He was going through homelessness. His family was going through things. And I was just like, hey, what's up? Whatever. Like, you're a great person. Like, I want to be with you. And, we got married within a year being together. So I just thank the Most High. Sometimes you just have to look at who the person is, not always their situation, because the Most High can bring you from whatever. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you, sister. And that is a good point. That's a good point Sister Tiara made, I'm not a proponent for women, you know, taking care of men. All right, I'm not a proponent for that in of itself. But obviously, this guy, he wasn't a lazy man. He was down on his luck, or whatever the case is, and she supported that diamond in the rough and seeing that he could stand on his feet and actually provide for both of them. Right? That's a difference. That's a difference. Because the Bible says a woman that maintaineth her husband is filled with anger and reproach. A woman don't mind holding it down, but she hold it down with the mindset that eventually he's going to come and take that burden from her. And if you don't take it from her, the Bible says she'll become what? That's right, angry. She'll become angry. It says a woman who maintaineth her husband is filled with anger and reproach. So she's seen that diamond in the rough, and she helped him get through a rough patch. And to repay that, he got on his feet and say, listen, I got it. That says a lot. That says a lot. But see, brothers have an error where if a woman come in on one level and doing these things, he don't realize that she's only doing it as far as she could in hopes of him taking it to the next level. And men will look at what she's doing and say, well, you've been doing that. No, I'm not supposed to take care of you, sir. You're supposed to take care of me. So men will look at that expectation and believe that, okay, it's time to chill. Nah. If a woman is holding it down, the mentality of a man coming in is saying, well, okay, I'm here to take this burden off of her eventually. And I think the mistake happens where sisters don't come with an outright conversation or a plan, hoping that he's going to, that he's going to, pick it up or understand. It doesn't work that way. She have to say, well, listen, here's my future plans and what I want to do. And eventually I hope that one day I can be home dealing with the children and I'm off of this. And here's the deadline on when this is going to go down as far as what I see for my life. So women are hesitant to say what their overall objective or plan for not working or whatever the case is. They rarely talk about it, and they expect a man to listen to it and say, well, okay, I see you holding it down. I'm going to come in and do my thing. Nah, conversation. The Bible says, with communication, forget not. And that's another thing that make women angry. Men aren't mind readers. Women can be amongst each other and almost finish their sentences and all that and know what another woman is thinking and all that because you're emotional creatures. Y'all trying to help each other and y'all can feel that thing, whatever that need that the other person must come in and compensate. Men don't roll like that. You have to tell us, okay? Can't you see I'm holding? She's thinking in her mind. Can't you see I'm holding this boulder on my back like Atlas? And she expect you to understand that through mental telepathy. Nah, you got to say, listen, there's a boulder on my back, okay? All right, let's go going down the line. Chris has a comment.
Shalom, elders.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
All right, elder. I remember so many lessons you saying, be patient and equally yoked, and and sometimes it go in one ear out of the other because we think, I guess us men, we believe, okay, well, if I can, get her and start teaching the Bible to her, then she'll come along, and it don't work out that way. I think we men, we don't understand that we need to listen to leadership. be patient with, and because I remember one time you said, if you're patient, if you're not patient and you choose the wrong one, then that right one will be right there the next day, and you miss out on it. So I think a lot of time we have to just dive, like I always say, dive into these lessons, and the more we dive into these lessons, the more we'll be on one accord with the leadership, and then we can finish the sentences that our elders, that you guys would say. But it's like being out here today. I think it's like a fight, and like what you're doing now. Hopefully, it's just stopped, because one thing, it can be said for both sides. If somebody say this about women, you can say the same thing about men. So I think if we meet each other in the middle and say, enough is enough, we're going to do this together, like you're saying, I think we can all, push forward and work towards Zion. And I'd like to thank you elders, and I appreciate the work. And right now, Most High is building me up right now, elder. Things is coming, and like you say, he'll take it away from you, just so he can build you up the way he wants you. So, and I'd like to thank this leadership for helping me get through all the things I'm going through, elder.
Okay, well, it sounds like, reading between some of what you're saying there, that you have a personal experience. And if I got what you said, we were telling people, brothers and sisters, do not judge the outward appearance and get with someone strictly because you like how they look, not realizing that these people aren't equally yoked. They don't believe what you believe. They could care less about what you believe. And a matter of fact, they'll get in a relationship and hate and resent you for forcing them into believing something that they don't want to believe. So I take it that that's one of your experiences now?
Yes, elder.
Okay, hold up. That's a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, and where is she?
We're separated. I'm in Georgia. She's in Georgia too.
Okay, but hold up now.
Yeah.
Let's get it now. Let's get it. So this could have easily been avoided if you would have said, you know what? I know this woman don't believe what I believe. And I know she's going in one direction and I'm in the other direction. Thank you, but no thank you. That could have easily been avoided, right?
Con. Yes, elder. And even on top of that, elder, what happened was, I said, well, because they was getting an understanding of she was getting an understanding of who we are. And I said, well, can we study together and, come to one accord? And it was yes until we got around each other. Then when we got around each other, it was like, okay, well, my family is on this side, which is the Tetragrammaton.
When we got around each other, where were you before you were around each other?
I was in Silver Spring, Maryland. I had my own place and everything, elder.
And she was where?
Yeah. And she was in Georgia.
Okay. Where did you meet this woman?
I met her online, elder. Yep. Matter of fact, she inboxed me, elder, and
inboxed you.
And at first, like, honestly, I wouldn't answer her phone calls and all that. I was, but she was real persistent, and I said, well, she liked me, and yeah, right. We agreed, to talk, and then we were talking, and then she invited me down here, and then I was going over the Bible. I thought going over Bible, we ended up getting married. Yeah. We did our first study. I had all the scriptures down, and I went over every scripture, and it was like I let her listen to you guys.
So
she had her own church.
So let's go here. So she was already in a church, correct?
Nope, elder, she wasn't. She was actually just coming in. Her family was.
Okay.
Her family was in the church.
Her family's in the church. Okay. So when did this thing take a turn for the worse? What happened?
It took a turn for the worse when hold her mother's husband would come to me asking me questions and making certain things about the Bible, and I was trying to let him know like, no, that wasn't written, and I go over scripture, and it just became the, oh, you're biased because you were GLC, and that's where it went downhill. I think, and she got the information because she didn't know no better. I think she got the information from her family, and there was a difference between, the doctrines and the names and all that. And she basically chose her family over, her husband.
Okay. All right. Hey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Listen. I'm sure there's a lot, and there's probably another broadcast, but it comes down to
right.
You're not listening.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
Because a woman leaves her family and becomes the bone of your bone and the flesh of your flesh. So there is no debate or going into the Bible and convincing your woman of concerning the God you serve, if she's your woman. There is no her cousin coming in to bring some scriptures and bring some resolve. Let me make it clear to you, brother. How old are you?
I'm 40 years old, Elder.
Okay, good. You hey, listen, you're not a young man. You coming of age. It's like this, my brother. If her family member came in to debate you on something concerning whether or not it's true, as far as what you believe, it wasn't her family member. She brought her family member in. Okay? Because the whole thing is, listen, there must have been a conversation before that person got to you. And that conversation was with your wife. So the whole deal is, she already believed what was going on the other side. They were there to convince you. So it comes down to what? You standing on the rock in your position as a man concerning the word. I wish someone, I don't care who you are, you bringing your family member in this conversation. First of all, that's undermining authority of you. And you sitting there debating him, and she's looking at both of you. Okay, so it's time for us to stand up and be like, listen, brother, I'm not here to debate no scriptures on you. What are you talking about? What are you talking to him for? Okay, this thing is out of order. All right, but it began out of order because you went and tried to turn someone and have them believe what you believe when you had the opportunity to find a woman who was already in line with what you believe. Okay. Well, I pray for you all, and I'm sure there's more chapters to be written on this particular scenario, and I'll just pray that it ends well. All right.
The water, Elder.
Are you in the bar? That thing ain't over. All right, let me go to Hakeem. Hakeem has a question. I got you, Hakeem. I got to go to the rest of them. I see you there. I'm going to answer your question. All right, 918 area code. Okay, I hear myself. I have to get back with you, 918-313 area code.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Elder. My family. How are you guys?
We're blessed by the Almighty,
if you will. Right. I really just wanted to really just hit home on a conversation and kind of just give some advice to, some women that may be struggling, just in this period, as we're growing, to love ourselves and to, love our man and really to accept, truth for what it is. And saying all that to say, I myself recently, I've been in truth for about like three going on 3 years. Okay. And about 2 years ago, I end up meeting someone. He was like opposite of our descent. He's African and I'm an American. If you will. And so we had a baby. Long story short, we kind of went separate ways as we were. How can I say it? For many reasons, if you will. Many of them is the way of living as we both grew. Saying all that to say.
But sister, what right now you're dealing with? You're speaking with the train of thought as a thought come to you, right? What is the advice you want to give sisters?
I just want to give sisters the advice of just staying real, just strong in this time, and really follow the commandments of the law. And once we start, following the law, things will, come together. One thing myself is that I always, thought I wouldn't find a real man in this society the way that, things are going and life is. And saying all that to say is that, there is hope, as we do follow like the law. And me, myself, leaving my daughter's dad at 5 months pregnant, and being celibate since then and really honing in on myself. Sometimes we like to blame, other people for things that we've experienced and endured, but we have to be real within ourselves. Like with myself, for an example, I had other things that, drew a light or, how would I say it? It just drew closer, like to me throughout the relationship, if you will, that I had to be real with. Sometimes we
sister,
really
sister,
aren't.
I'm trying to put together what you're saying. What are you saying?
Okay. So what am I saying is basically just really just stay true to, what the Most High, like his laws and his commandments.
All right, let me ask you this question, because I'm seeing same way I'm trying to piece together when the brother called and I was able to extrapolate and piece it together. Are you saying to stay with the laws of the Most High because you wish you would have done that when you ran into the African guy?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I would say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all you saying is because eventually it'll chart a path for you that you never envisioned. But all in all, the Most High can turn through the Spirit of the Most High. He can turn your scenario. Oh Lord, have mercy. Take care of the baby now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Listen. He can turn that into a blessing. Don't beat yourself down. Right now you're dealing with a situation where you look back and say, well, okay, I should have done it this way. But all in all, the Most High can bring a blessing through you and that child. So don't beat yourself down. Get on up and serve the Most High. Serve the Most High, follow his law, and it'll be okay, sister. And when she mentioned it came a time where I didn't think that I would ever find that one person. That's a lot of the hope we was talking about that's lost. A lot of our sisters are saying they don't even think that it's possible that they can have that one husband for the family they have dreamed about. Okay? So, sisters, you can't think that. You have to be patient, wait on the Most High until he send you a husband. And the other thing is for the sisters, that's why Paul said, if you're loose, don't seek to be bound. If you're bound, don't seek to be loosed. Sisters who have husbands, I'm going to tell you, appreciate your union. Appreciate and stop and stop looking at this as if looking online and seeing other people's life and comparing yourselves to it. To begin to believe that you got the short end of the stick as far as relationships go. Stop doing it. Okay? Make that relationship you in the relationship you envision under the Most High. Okay? And there's some people, some sisters out there who've lost hope, but their time is running out as far as, as far as them growing past, growing into, geriatric pregnancy. They're getting geriatric pregnancy in their 30s, and some women are just having babies while they're able to, having a child with the opportunity to have one, even if there's not a man there. A lot of that is going on too. I'll be talking about that this coming Sunday. But yeah. All right. 336 area code. 336 area code. And that's another thing we have to correct. Every spirit, when it comes to a woman, every spirit that doesn't align with the laws doesn't make a woman a Jezebel. We have to stop labeling every woman that we are in, that people are in disagreement with as Jezebel, okay? There's a distinct description of what a Jezebel is in Scripture, okay? Jezebel hates God and hates anyone who's bringing forth the word. They'll be attacking those who are teaching and against those who are teaching. That's a distinct spirit of a Jezebel, okay? 6562 area code.
Hi, Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this was a good lesson. I'm glad that you did a lesson on this. Like, I'm so happy about that because, like, the Most High, He is so good. Like, He really is. Like, I have a testimony I just want to, like, share real quick and stuff like that, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
the floor is yours, sister. Your name
I'm
again?
26. Okay. My name is Star. I called a while back.
Okay.
I called like a few months ago.
All right.
And yeah, I had just been through so much, and I just, I'm just so grateful and blessed. But anyways, I just had a baby, and I have 4 kids now. So
well, congratulations.
I had my baby in October.
Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you. And I have a husband and stuff like that. I'm so blessed and thankful. And like you just said, like, being like appreciative of our husbands and stuff like that. Like that, just everything that I've been through, it made me feel just so, grateful and thankful. And I just lost my mother too in October. So it was like really like a lot, going on and stuff. But I believe like it's okay. Like I know she's in a better place. And if I work hard and I follow the rules and do what I'm supposed to do at the Most High, I'm going to see my mother again and stuff like that. But like I was just saying, yeah, I just experienced just a traumatic giving birth to my daughter. Like, so I lost my mom in the same month of October and everything like that. And my uterus had erupted to the point, Elder, like I could have almost lost my life.
Sorry to hear that.
Like the doctors telling me like, it's okay. The doctors telling me like, oh my God, you're so lucky and stuff like that and things like that. It was like a miracle. Like I was in the NIC for 1 day. I was breastfeeding my baby. They was bringing my baby up there and everything. And I was like in the NIC when my mom passed. My mom passed in the NIC, and when she passed, the room was down the hall from where I, experienced everything and stuff. But I believe the Most High was definitely with me because I really could have lost my life. And I just want to get on here and just say, like, I have not shared this with a lot of people, what I've been through and stuff, but I am grateful that I'm still here, and I am grateful that I do have a family, and I'm grateful that I did have my kids early because I had a lot of people telling me that I shouldn't be having kids back to back and stuff like that. But I'm happy that I did get to bear 4 beautiful kids, and they're such a blessing.
Well, all praise be to the Most High.
And I just had to
bless you and your family. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Families are together in
Yeah,
this
and
truth.
my husband,
In this truth too.
he's gonna
What-
get
what's-
baptized next month.
Look at
I
that.
got baptized already in March, so
Oh,
we're just
clap
trying
on
to,
that.
you know, get to the kingdom, and you know,
Bless
we really do appreciate the work that you guys do for the church. I love watching y'all every Wednesday. I'll be on it. I'll be watching it. I'll be
Fantastic.
trying to. I got an academy, like twice, me and my husband and things like that. We
Thank
just
you.
love it. I'm just so shocked. Like, I'm just happy that God opened our eyes, because I was once in a world, which we all was, and like, I'm just happy that I'm blessed that the Most High really had, you know, patience and mercy on my soul, because, you know, who gonna take care of my kids if I would have had died and stuff like that. So
Well, sister,
I just
you
like
okay?
every day, like I'm
The Most High bless you.
right, and I just the
Right.
devil he just be tricking me, because I be feeling like emotional, elder, like, you know.
Well,
I be
sis-
like, dang,
sis-
like this
sister-
really happened to me.
Sister, listen. Listen. That's something that and I'm going to talk about that this Sunday, when the Bible says that with Eve's curse, it says that he would multiply her sorrows. Worrying and thinking about things that, you know, thinking about things that will lead to worry or sadness is part of the curse. But at least you have that pillar. You have that pillar next to you. You have that man who can sustain you, that man who can secure you and tell you, listen, it's all right. I'll help you through this. So that's the importance of having a husband, and I'm glad you've been blessed with one. All right. With that, I'm gonna put you on hold.
Yeah, shalom.
Shalom, sister. See you this Sunday. Going down the line, I'm only going to take a few more before the broadcast is over, and then I'll open it up for calls this coming. I'll open it up for calls this coming Friday. All right, this coming Friday on Patreon for the loyal Patreon members. Nicole.
Oh, that's me. Oh my God. Greetings. Shalom. Elder, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Shalom,
Sir?
Nicole. How are you?
Oh, good. All is well. Thanks be to the Most High. I was
Okay.
checking in because I have the scripture in Corinthians, I think 11, that says that the head of every woman is man, and
Is the man.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about or meditating on that scripture a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And I believe I got a revelation based on the plight of our people that could possibly, not most of the time when people minister or teach that, they think in terms of the head of every married woman is a man or is the man. But I really, based on the need for men in our community, would you agree that it could also mean that the head of every woman, meaning women all together, are men? Because
Absolutely. What you're saying is
the lack of men?
sister, that's not a revelation. That's the way it is. That's
Well,
that's the way it is. The head, common sense would tell
Mm-hmm.
anyone who's looking at the world that the head of women are men. Men build.
Well, that's
when men have built the infrastructure and society that women live on. Right? So
Yeah,
the same
that's
way,
true.
the
That's
same
right.
way the Most High is the foundation of the heavens. There's a proper order in place. And this is why it's the devil who have programmed these women to talk about the negativity of the patriarchy. Like, what are you talking about,
Yeah.
patriarchy? You're talking about man. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, man is the patriarchy. What are you talking about? You know, the same man that you were in your father before you were in your mother. No no man. Don't forget. I think people. I don't know whether or not they're looking at TV or TV of the idiot box on TV have distorted their minds. You were in a man before you were in your mother.
That's right.
The patriarchy is why you live. So what I'm saying is you're
Right.
absolutely correct when it says the head of the woman is the man. And that's the proper order. And there's nothing negative or positive about that. That's just the order. And when we began to examine the head or patriarchy as the enemy, it's like Lucifer who's seeing God as his enemy.
Right.
So
right.
even though it
And
was
see,
a
that's the thing is,
revelation to you, that is a good revelation. Because some people think, well, if I don't got no husband, then God is my head. No. Because if some guy right now knock open your door, you want God to send a man
Amen.
to drag him down the stairs.
That's right.
Okay. So
That's right.
So and see, they're doing this crap in college where they're talking about it's the patriarchy. The patriarchy is depressing the woman. Like the insanity and straight disrespect of men is rampant in this world. The reality is no patriarchy, no world. No man, no people. And that's Satan's plan. That's Satan's plan. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, sister.
Can you still hear me?
I'm with you.
Oh, wait. Hello? Are you still there?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, okay. Well, I have another question really quickly. Will we be married in the kingdom? And is it possible for my husband to baptize me? Is there something in the Bible that?
No, the church will baptize you and your husband. That's how that goes. Okay? Because you have to be under.
I definitely want to.
No, you have to be under the offices the authority of the offices that's established in the earth for baptism. That's number one. That's an order. Okay.
Okay.
The first question when you say is there marriage in the Bible? I mean, in the kingdom. It depends. If you are one that is changed, there'll be no need for marriage. Okay. If you're changed, then you're like the angels. And it's talking about when Christ come and you're changed. Now, will you still know each other and be able to interact with each other? Absolutely. But it's going to be a different type of love and fulfillment outside of the flesh, outside of just it being fleshly. Okay? There's no satisfaction in the universe compared to the satisfaction going on right now in heaven. And there's no fleshly acts going on there. Okay? So yes.
Sir. Well, that's good to know.
Exactly.
Well, I just want to.
But I have to go to the next call, though.
Okay. Just really quickly,
go ahead.
Would you consider doing something on secret societies, because that's a real stronghold, not just in our obviously in our community, but also in marriages where you have people that have taken oaths and rituals, to these Greek and entities.
Oh yeah. Okay. Elder Lawyer. Is Elder Lawyer with me?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, sir.
You know what? That's a good idea. Elder Lawyer, we're going to do a lesson on secret societies and the occult.
Absolutely.
Because what brothers and sisters don't know, they don't know that there were Chaldean sorcerers and all that in the past during the time of Nimrod, and who are working against Abraham, the science of Egypt and all that. They can't relate that to the witchcraft and sorcery in the Bible. So I would like to do a comparison to what Freemasons are doing and how they were doing it under the ancient times of Babylon, so that people can know that the whole world is a cult and it's an occult. So we're going to do secret societies and the occult in the Hebrew and Bible Academy next academy. You got that, Lawyer?
Sounds great.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to start putting it together. I got my book here. The Origin of Freemasonry of King's Templar. I got that. And I was able to order one of the oldest Freemason encyclopedia in the United States. From Philadelphia, where one of the biggest Masonic places were, I got one of the original encyclopedias. And folks, you're going to find out this whole construct is a cult. All of it throughout the whole earth. And there's levels of it. You got the East Indians who are a part of it. You have what you would call you have what you would call the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a part of it. They're all together under one accord against the children of Israel who have built their construct. So, sister, we're going to do that. I'm glad you mentioned that because it was in my mind to do it anyway. That confirms it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bless you. Okay, man, that lesson is going to be on. I'm going to write that down right. I'm going into that immediately. Secret societies and the occult. Whoa. I'm already listen, I already see how that thing going to go down. We can have, don't forget, Elder Lloyd, we're going to have the Skull and Bone 322 at the beginning of that lesson to show all the bushes and all that, Skull and Bone. At the beginning page on that lesson. Hey, that's gonna be big. I'm ramped up for week 7, but now I got something for the next academy. Praise the Most High. That's gonna be big. 971 area code.
Wow. Hey, shalom, Elder.
Bless you. Your name?
Hello. Oh, it's Brother Israel. I was just calling in for a question, and it was about the Vatican. I just want to get a little bit more understanding on like how their deadly wound was healed. Does that mean that they're back and now they can influence legislation and other countries in America?
No, when it says her deadly wound was healed, Rome was healed. Okay, Rome was wounded. Okay, Christ wounded Rome.
Okay.
Christ wounded Rome.
Okay, and how did he wound him?
Because when his doctrine came, many of the Gentile pagans who were dealing with Mithraism began to convert. And understand that there's what you would call a spirit of oneness when it comes to their religion that leads to patriotism to move forward their order. When their people started leaving paganism and coming to the truth of Christ, it fractured the republic. Now, her deadly wound was healed. The deadly wound was healed. And eventually, our people began, the Christians, black Israelites or Jews, began to war against the construct, and their people were helping us. So eventually, Septimius Severus, Pescennius Niger, who were Christians also, went at war with Rome and splintered Rome, and our people became the kings and nobility over England and Europe for a time. But her deadly wound, deadly wound was healed, right? When they founded America and made America an extension of Rome. Now, America would pick up from where Rome left off before being wounded. It was Christ and our people who wounded Rome. It was a war against Esau and Jacob.
Okay.
Got it?
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting, man. I was also gonna say I'm gonna try to call you, man, because I've been trying to. I wanted to still make that 15th Diamond movie. I don't know if you still got the same number though. That starts with a 2.
I have that same number. I see your number 971.
Okay.
So yeah. So the next time you call me,
I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Just call me, leave a message. I'll see you 971. A matter of fact, I'll write your number down. I'll give you a call. All right.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Shalom. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that was Christ who wounded Rome, because the doctrine began to destroy the religion amongst the republic. So that's why they came against us and destroyed us in Jerusalem. It wasn't just our people with the truth that would destroy Satan's plan. It was the Gentiles joining in against their own republic that led to Rome coming after us. Okay? But if you're in the academy, you already know that. Well, I'm sorry I can't take any more calls. I can take one more. Hakeem, I'll make sure I call you later. Okay, I have your number. I'll call you tomorrow, Hakeem. Lynn, you've been on here for an hour. That's why I got to take your call. Last call for this evening.
I appreciate you, brother, and all praise to the Most High God for the preacher. That the Scripture says that, you know, how can we learn without one? And I just wanted to say that we are programmed through social engineering for psychological entitlement, and we are fighting for theirs, our oppressors. We are fighting for theirs, and we are killing ours. I can give you an example of the programming. Let's start with the 70s. Okay. We had the hypersexualization of the youth through the music, the media, all forms of propaganda. We also had the flooding the streets with drugs. See? And then we come to today and we have the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. And as brothers and sisters, we need to listen to our sister Scheherazade Ali. I love that, and I use that quote a lot. I said, our sisters haven't been under our brother's thumbs for 400 years, so, you know, what are we fighting them for? The feminism movement is the white woman's fight. You know, we have to come back together and stop following our oppressors, and also learn the weapons that are being used against us, like the division. Because today, they know that daddy is out the house, and they're giving your kids rights. They're giving your kids rights to have sex changes, to vote and take a vaccine. Without your consent now.
We want to keep this channel, so we need to keep that V word out of here. They got all types of satanic bots that come over here. The V word, we don't want to deal with that. They'll strike out. No, we can't do that. But go on.
I'm very sorry. It's
fine. I understand.
But yeah, I'm just saying that they're taking mommy out the house now. They're giving kids the rights, and now they're taking mommy out the house.
Hey,
so
brother.
As we're arguing amongst each other.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, as we're arguing amongst each other, we need to start thinking. You know, we have been programmed. Like I said, we watched the movies in the 70s, the cowboy movies, bang bang, shoot 'em up. You want to be like the gangsters. The same thing is going on today. It's just the programming, and we follow it. And we don't, and not only, our sisters dressing like, with the blonde hair and stuff, and then the brothers out here swearing that they're not men if they don't have these luxury items or have a body on their record. All of that is programming, and it's new programming. It's not something that we was dealing with when we were, younger, but it's a gradual movement, and our oppressors are going on a never-ending story, and their narrative changes all the time to fit however they want it to be. And one more thing, and the reason the police are going after the whites for saying racial slurs and things of that nature, they don't even fit in the narrative no more. So we're all being shown that we have been duped and programmed. And you look up Edwin Bernays or Sigmund Freud, and that'll give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. And I thank you, brother, and keep up the good work. And I hear all the youthful energy in here, so I know you're doing a good thing, and I appreciate you, and I thank you for letting me call in.
Well, praise the Most High, brother. I'm glad you brought in. I thank you for your wisdom. Yeah, I can tell you're well spoken and researched. I appreciate you, my brother.
I'll be over in HOK. I'm Indigenous Black Man.
Okay.
And
All
I've been trying to tell these guys about all this stuff, and they won't listen. They're hard-headed. I've been trying to tell them, a lot of things, but I just think I always give praises to the platforms who are out here telling the truth and showing videos and showing powerful sisters like that who are telling the truth to our sisters about what's really going on out here.
Well, thank you, my brother.
So I thank you.
You have a blessed night. And I'm going to tell you, Lynn.
You too.
I'm going to tell you, Lynn, where it's going. Because they get the man out of the way and they get the women out of the way through their social engineering. Let me show you where it's going. Because now the man and woman is out of the way. What we have here. We're going to be talking about this in the academy. This was their plan the whole time, folks. 52-year-old man. 52-year-old man. I've gone back to being a child. When you can now identify as someone different or a different sex, then there's no end to what you can identify with going forward. I've gone back to being a child, husband and father of 7, 52 years old. He leaves his wife and kids to live as a transgender 6-year-old girl named Stephanie. Okay? There it is. This was the plan. Now, of course, he's probably one of those little girls that would want to play house with little boys. Possibly. So this is what we're up against, folks. This is what happens when men and women separate. This is the lane. The lane that opens is everything in between. Okay? There goes Stephanie for you. So either we want to get together or let Stephanie cut loose on children. All right. So this was him, but he was really an 8-year-old girl in a 52-year-old man's body. All right. So we got to get it together because listen, you wouldn't believe what they're going to make legal next. All right, so get it together because why? We've become two wrongs.
Let's talk for a minute.
Good night. Blessings keep family together.
How can we both be wrong? How can we both be right? And how can we call this love? Hurting each other. And all we do is fight. How can you walk away when we're holding on by a thread? This feeling alone sure feels strange. We might as well sleep in separate beds. We've given up for far too long. We both we've become too and friends. Now I'm just searching for reasons to win. Too stubborn, don't understand. If this is love, I don't want it again. With giving up, baby, giving up on love, we both are right. We've become two wrongs, baby. We've become too wrong, too strong-willed to listen. And if we don't try, we're just living a lie.